We're speaking today with Aidan Connolly, the CEO of Cainthus, the dairy technology company that uses computer vision and artificial intelligence to provide advanced cattle management tools. Aidan is in Dublin, Ireland, where Cainthus is headquartered, speaking to us from his home, as am I. Aidan, welcome to dairybusiness.com. We're happy to visit with you today.
Thanks for the opportunity.
You posted a blog message with what I'd call a positive look on what we can do in these times. You used the term, Dale Carnegie's term, I guess, of making lemonade from lemons. And you had several suggestions that you invited farmers and all of us in business to think about while we have some time at home with this COVID. And farmers obviously are working hard, maybe harder than ever, under a lot of pressure. So let's talk a little bit about some of the points that you shared.
I suppose, like everybody else, I follow the statistics of what's happening in the world of coronavirus, and it can sometimes be overwhelming. And I think particularly from a farming perspective, we're facing unprecedented challenges, both in terms of what we're doing, but more importantly, also the food supply chain. So I try to take more of a positive. I don't mean to underplay or to say that some of the things are happening to people are not awful. I don't want to take any pleasure in it. It is a terrible situation, but as you mentioned, as Dale Carnegie's phrase went, sometimes you have to look to make lemonade out of lemons. And that perspective is quite hard to take, but it's very valuable if you can. I focused on 7 ideas, if I may. So number 1 is, I just think a lot of time we spend talking about how do we use the online world? How do we use online to connect with our customers? How do we use online to connect with people selling to us? Well, in a scenario where we're worried about disease, we're worried about people not being able to come to the farm and visit us, this is exactly the right time to embrace online. And so what I say is don't just go online, but really go online. Go online to the manner that when this problem is all gone, we'll still be able to use those learnings, that knowledge, and we'll be able to avail of that and make ourselves more efficient. I think also training is critical. You know, we talk about the importance of training people in veterinarian skills, animal husbandry skills. Certainly you need to be hiring people who've got computer literacy as a given. I know that anybody who's been homeschooled or homeschooled their kids probably stand a huge advantage over the rest of us. The reality is that schooling ourselves and schooling our people has to be a fundamental part of this crisis. And the phrase I've used is, don't let anybody come back to your farm with the same set of skills that they left with. Tell them that between Khan Academy, YouTube videos, LinkedIn articles, there's huge amounts of Coursera, edX, there's just huge amounts of resources to train yourself in whatever you want, including marketing, management, everything, accounting, everything else. Third idea was to bury the hatchet. By that, I mean that I think to many of us in farming, I know you're going to say this never happens, fall out with our neighbors, fall out with our friends, fall out with people involved in business. And isn't it stupid? I mean, don't we realize that isn't after 30 years of having fallen out with somebody, it's time to maybe revisit that problem? Not just from a personal human perspective, but also from a business perspective. And I use the example of how many emails and contacts I've gotten from people I haven't spoken to in a long time. I've gone looking for people who, sadly found one this morning, passed away. I didn't know he'd passed away. He was a friend of mine in high school. These are things we should be doing. And from a business perspective, burying the hatchet, mending fences, it's a good thing to do. Loyalty has never been at all-time higher point in my view. Customers are loyal because they want to fill the shelves of their stores, or they want to make sure that their food outlet continues to get supplied by producers, by farmers. But I also think that the loyalty of your employees will never be better. And that's a tremendously important time to build solid teams and to focus on how do you make it even better. Maybe also perhaps looking at some members of the team who maybe it's the time for them to move on as well.
So talked about the importance of change, both in terms of changing our business, better, cheaper, faster, perhaps, and just the concept. Talk a little bit about your other points dealing with change.
Change is very difficult for humans. I used to think I was the only one who hated change, but it turns out we all do to some degree. And yet we know that when things change, we actually become better. We frequently get out the other side with a new set of skills. We develop or create these new mental muscles, and once we've used them, they're stronger and they're there available at any time. I think whenever somebody says to me, can you do it cheap or can you do it better? My reaction is to say, I don't feel comfortable looking at that. I've done it this way, why would I change? And yet, of course, we really appreciate that it is possible to find ways to not just cut costs, but to do things in a more effective way.
The concept that we've heard lots about and maybe we have a new perspective these days is the concept of work-life balance, which is kind of a fraught phrase when we're speaking with our dairy farmer customers and friends. But how do you view that, the work-life balance issues?
It is fraught, but I would say most dairy farmers you ask became dairy farmers to gain work-life balance. They like the idea of having their kids with them, both on the farm, working on the farm later in life. They like working with their dad or their mother or, their family, maybe even their grandparents. So we have had an idyllic sort of image of what dairy farming should be. Sadly, the reality of dairy farming has become emails and accounting and answering to lots of different people who we never thought we'd have to interact with. So the day not only becomes full, but I think it genuinely does stretch to a flat-out 14-hour day. And as farms get bigger, we have to manage other people. That again affects work-life balance. So maybe it has taken a pandemic for us to realize that we are all mortal. We imagine most of the people dying from this are in their 70s and 80s, but sadly there are people younger than that. And certainly this moment together with our kids, together with our family in lockdown, might be the chance to re-examine what we do and why we do it.
Thank you very much for these insights. It's good that we can have this conversation and also perhaps have a little different way of thinking about things as we go about our day-to-day activities in this new environment, this tougher environment.
Not least, and I try to continue to put some things onto the Cainthus website, CAINTHUS.com, on the basis that not again to celebrate the challenges certain people are having, but to give people the opportunity to be positive in a time when I think we need all the positivity that we can get.
Amen to that very much. We've been speaking today with Aidan Connolly of Cainthus. Thank you for joining us on Dairy Business News.